ValveTime.net.
Hi, and welcome to the ValveTime news for November 16th, 2015. Each week, we bring you the biggest talking points regarding Valve and the community. As we briefly mentioned on last week's show, this past week saw the conclusion of the submission period for the 5th annual Saxxy Awards, which also heralded the beginning of the voting period. The voting period concluded at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on November 16th, 2015, likely a mere few hours before this episode went up. This year's contest featured a huge number of extremely well-made and entertaining series, not that it's entirely surprising given previous years, but still. With the winners set to be announced on Wednesday the 18th, we're still deciding whether or not we'll resurrect our top 5 series to run down a few of our favorite videos from this year, so we'll just have to wait and see. For now, go ahead and search for some Saxxy 2015 videos on YouTube to see what you may be missing out on. Given the Saxxy voting period was our biggest news topic of this week, you can tell Valve and the community were definitely overshadowed by the release of Fallout 4 on Tuesday. The same goes for the Steam hardware launch, which released to the general public on the same day as Fallout. While the Steam Link, Steam Controller, and certain Steam machines have previously been made available to purchase for a limited number of people, Tuesday was the first day you could walk into a retail shop and pick up any of these types of devices. Although the launch is currently restricted to North America, the United Kingdom, and parts of mainland Europe, the launch has seemingly been a success, though it's unlikely we'll ever have much in the way of sales statistics out of Valve since they typically keep these kinds of figures very close to their chests. With more people than ever using these devices and services, numerous articles and videos have begun flying up around the internet this past week, with a variety in both the positive and negative camps. Two that stood out to us in particular include YouTube and Reddit user Chris Hepburn demonstrating how he was able to develop a one-handed control scheme on the Steam controller to help someone's disabled father, and an article by Ars Technica highlighting how slow the current version of SteamOS is when compared to Windows 10, with even Valve's own games struggling to keep up. All in all, it's been a pretty back and forth week for Valve, and we'll definitely be keeping our eyes peeled for how the status of SteamOS and the Steam hardware devices continue to progress in the future. It's hardly a surprise that Fallout 4 is a major recurring theme in this week's episode, with the game topping the non-Valve section of the Steam stats and the promised Codsworth announcer pack finally arriving in a Dota 2 patch a few days back. The admittedly a little underwhelming announcer pack was introduced to pre-orderers of Fallout 4 alongside the release of a new Fluttering cache on Thursday, which introduced numerous new item sets, a mini Bloodseeker courier, and a bunch of neat bug fixes. The main page for Dota 2 was also updated to better promote the ongoing Frankfurt Major tournament taking place throughout this week, with a large panel advertising when games are live. You may have noticed we've not covered the qualifiers or the main event for the Frankfurt Major at all in a few weeks, and that's because we're going to leave the coverage of the tournament to the larger Dota 2 community, who honestly know far more about the topic than we can ever hope to. After missing out on Halloween and game updates in general for over half a month, this week's pair of patches for Counter-Strike Global Offensive once again focused on updating the game's sound systems. Landing on the ground now creates a more audible sound, with an additional sound effect playing depending on the type of surface your feet land on, with support for wood, rubber, snow, glass, grass, and many more. The update also introduced native support for the Steam controller, as we mentioned before, giving you another option if you're looking to play CSGO casually while relaxing on the sofa. Just make sure you stay away from ranked. We don't imagine that would go over too well with potential teammates. Since most of our hopefully impactful content has been turned into videos these past few years, there hasn't really been much room for well-written articles to surface. This briefly changed this past week as our writer Smash took to the ValveTime.net front page to discuss the recent announcement of Spy Jinx, a new game created in collaboration between J.J. Abrams' studio Bad Robot and an oddly titled company known as Chair. But what does this announcement have to do with Valve? Well, that's exactly it, as Smash believes the video game and movie plans Gabe Newell and JJ discussed at DICE 2013 have gradually drifted into the realm of fantasy, leaving Bad Robot to search for other potential partners. Of course, Bad Robot is still technically involved with Valve and Escalation Studios for TF2's nearly completed pastime mode, but it's hardly the big, explosive partnership hinted at during DICE that one exciting day. To read more about what Smash thinks of the future of the partnership between Valve and Bad Robot, head on over to our website via the link in the video description. And that'll bring us nicely to the end of another week of Valve news. With Fallout 4 now moving further into the past, news should pick up somewhat over the next few weeks. To catch the latest talking points as they happen, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to follow our social media pages, and to join in with the conversations by signing up over on the ValveTime.net community forums. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.